Y'all ready to just jump into this?
Let's just jump in.
That's how the podcast works. Too much thought. What y'all guys been thinking about this week?
I've been thinking about everything. I've been thinking about like the future, my past, gene splicing, who knows what. Like, Dawson, what do you
just been all over the place?
Yeah, you've been on an emotional roller coaster this week.
That's what I am.
Just an emotional roller coaster?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by the future? What do you think about the future?
There's just so many possibilities about the future, you know? We're only in our 20s. And think about how much life has changed in the past 50 years.
Yeah, as far as like cell phones and having the internet and social media. As far as like technological advances.
There's still like probably just as many people going hungry today as there were 50 years ago.
Yeah, they just got to move near the food.
I mean, what you got to think about too is I'm being the only one here with a child. Imagine when like my child's like 25, 30.
Dude.
Like, what the actual hell, dude?
I still think a lot of people in today's society are still trying to learn, because we're the first generation that has this kind of technology at our fingertips. And so, you know, we're learning like a different brand of life than all of our grandparents and all of our great-grandparents and even most of our parents. They didn't get it till they were 20. They got the first phone in their car.
And that wasn't even nothing, dude.
Nothing.
Culture changes so fast. It's the difference in between like the 1980s to the 2020s and just what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Just think about what will be acceptable 20 years from now that's not today.
Well, I feel like we've been on like a more accelerated path in like the last...
Like progressive?
Yeah. I feel like it gets faster and faster, though.
Yeah.
True.
With technology, when they have the internet and everything happens so fast. I mean, you can just communicate with somebody in Japan right now if you wanted to. Back in the old days, you got to send a fucking telegram.
Back in the old days, it was a flex move. If you had one of those portable cell phones,
yeah,
that was actually like a suitcase. It was crazy.
Like, dude, think about how crazy this is. Like, I drive an '01 BMW, and like it was like a top of the line car at the time, and there was really a feature in that car, like where a phone is built into your armrest. Tell me how and it's a wired phone hooked up to the middle console.
So like a phone built into the car.
A phone built into the car.
And this was in 2001, so only 22 years ago.
But think about how crazy that sounds now. Like, I have a phone built into my car. Someone calls you on if you're driving a 2022 vehicle, someone calls you, it just starts playing from the ceiling because your phone is connected to that car. You know what I mean? Through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and everything else.
But you actually had a spot for them,
like an actual phone, bro, like a wired,
like one
a
of
house
those
phone.
like bricks looking phone.
Like, imagine a house phone in your car.
Okay, yeah, that's what my dad, he talked about. His first phone was in his car. It's like a little bag phone,
and that's crazy, bro.
And it had this long antenna, like that far.
I think probably weighed 50 pounds.
Satellites.
Like, now, like, it is insane, bro. And it kind of plays into everything. Like, it's like technology's so advanced now where like if I'm watching like a movie even and it's like some off the wall thing happens and I'm like, oh, that never could happen because I would have this on my phone, or even if I didn't have my phone I'd be able to do this. Like, it's just like, you know, there's almost nothing that's impossible with technology, so it's like nothing can surprise you like you expect.
The security that comes with having a phone that you can ask like any question.
It's crazy, dude.
Any question in the world that could get answered on my phone, like right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think as far as like, if you look back in like the 50s and like what they saw as like the future, you can even see this in the kind of cars they produced. They kind of look like spaceships, kind of like the sleek, modern design, not modern design, but like that design. They thought by 2020 we'd be flying cars, you know. That would be how we drive. So
what was that one cartoon? It was Meet the
Jetsons.
Yeah, that was like in the 2015 or something. What year were they based that off of?
We've already passed it. I know that.
Yeah, the 2000s.
And it was nothing like that.
Yeah, that's because when all that stuff was happening, we're like, oh, we just hit the moon, you know. We just did these arm races. And so now they're like, oh, our future is going to be so we're going to have flying cars everywhere. We're going to have robots. You know, we are progressing, I think, quickly, but not as quickly as like a lot of people back in the day thought. Okay.
And this is an uneducated question I'm asking, but because I'm talking to two uneducated.
Hey.
All right.
We're wise guys.
Okay.
We're wise
guys.
Literally made me lose my brain of thought. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Uneducated.
What were you saying before that?
just about how we're not progressing as fast as maybe the people.
Oh yeah, okay. So what do you think causes the spike in progression? Because you can look back to America and there are
Money.
points that escalate. Well, money, but there are points that escalate like our progression rate.
War.
And there are like stale point. You think war? Like
War.
the Cold War?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you think about that. I mean, there's people, right, that design new technologies, and they're funded by companies or whatever. We have a military industrial complex where we spend 150 billion a year on. I think that's what
Don't
drives.
forget to add the inflation rates in.
Yeah, it's probably 200 billion. Probably 300 billion, I think, this year. But we are spending that much money on military technology. You don't think we're researching things like there might be a flying fucking car? I mean, we have. I feel like they come up with all these They're starting to say like the UFOs are real, and a lot of that I feel is government testing, new drones, new, hovercraft, spaceships, and whatnot.
Because UFO just stands for unidentified. It doesn't mean that it's from another planet.
Yeah, it doesn't mean extraterrestrial.
It just means that the populace is uneducated about what it's about.
I mean, you got to be real too. Like we were just talking about, like progress and technology and all this. Like kind of like what you pointed at. It's like we put a lot of funding and time into war. I feel like that field of technology is like the war devices and like weapons of destruction. I feel like that's probably been developed even more than anything else. And that's why like it's so kind of crazy. It's like any country could honestly probably blow you off the face of the earth at any time. And like we're just living here, bro.
They could, but we have a lot of those defensive missiles and everything too.
And like if you look at it, like whenever like the military invents something, they do something, then it trickles down to the civilian life. The civilian uses for, it's not necessarily like, oh, these new stealth bombers that they just invented going to be used for, civilian life, but maybe that breakthrough of, oh, well, we know how to safely break the sound barrier, so there's no G's. So when we build a train like that, I think there is in China or Japan, that
goes like 400 miles an hour.
Yeah,
well,
and so we use those applications for civilian life. That's how I think that's how it trickles down.
Okay, so military gets the tech first, but it's not.
There's more uses
to just the military.
Yeah, there's more uses.
Okay,
that does make sense. Like, and that's probably the case, honestly.
Well, yeah, because think about it. In the 1950s, that's why there's so technology like, oh, we're going to have flying cars, is because after World War II, where we've already designed all these new stuff, vacuum cleaners started coming out, microwaves started coming out,
credit
ACs
started coming out.
Yeah, and credit, that's crazy technology right there. But
it really is.
Fake money right there.
Yeah, and I think it all impacted technology because we were so war driven and developing these new things that it trickled down to the civilian usage.
So in conclusion, competition is what increases our production rate of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it is in any aspect. If you have competition.
But competition out of what? Like you're competing just because like you fear another person being in power. Like at the state we're in almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it is.
I know that's how it is, but I just feel like, say there is aliens. This is kind of like off the wall shit. But like imagine they, over their course of however many years they've had civilizations and whatnot, imagine instead of like developing and putting time towards like war and weapons of war, they put their time and effort into other things, and like that's why we think, oh, they're so far advanced. It's because they didn't spend their time beefing with each other. They're really developing together.
Well, that goes to another thing is, what if aliens have came, they have saw the Earth and say, oh, nope, no form of intelligent life here. Let's go on to the next, because they see what kind of strife and
like what we are at the core, what we are.
I think we're not evolved enough.
Yeah.
I think they'll come back in a couple thousand years or something, check on us again.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to send us off in the right way with pyramids, and then after that, they're like, oh, we thought y'all do better with this stuff, man.
I don't necessarily feel like they're being kept a secret from us. Like, if the government knew there were aliens, I feel like they would tell us, because the benefit of having a unified enemy, like, it would bring all the countries together. Like if we knew aliens were out to get us, then we wouldn't have a problem with China or Russia, right? Like we would just unify because we're one race.
But what
I disagree.
yeah, I think people go into a chaos. People start looting. People start building bunkers. They'll say, "Oh, if they can come visit us on this planet, we can't even get us out of our own universe." Like, I granted Independence Day brought everybody together and everything, but I think nowadays, if that happened, I think it'd be a complete chaos.
Not even
so you
that.
don't think a common enemy would fix our issues with us versus them?
I don't.
Well, if the them become aliens, then us is just humans.
Not even that though. Not even like.
I get what you're saying because that's how the United States were.
Yeah.
Like when Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda attacked Twin Towers.
Yeah, it was
and
us
that's
versus
when.
them.
Yeah, it brought the U.S. together after that kind of cataclysmic event. But I'm not so sure. I think the complexities of like
Alien life.
not alien life, but how our government works with other governments. I don't think you might get the people for sure all behind it. These government officials are not shaking hands, walking out of it.
Okay.
Their pride's too much for that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's kind of what I was going on. Is like I doubt it, but I'm not giving up complete hope that like civilization, like your average Joe people, like that they would band together and be like, let's do this. But I do believe like governments aren't gonna fucking give one up to each other. Like it's all a fucking, in my eyes, like a lot of it. I'm not saying all of it, but it kind of is like a pride thing to these people, bro, in power. Like, and it's always been like that. It's not just today. Like, you know, two kings of a fucking place in England or whatever. Like, if they come together, they're stronger. But nah, no one's gonna bend the knee. You know what I mean?
I feel like at the start of it, and
It's a Game of Thrones.
Hell yeah.
I don't remember where I read this, but this isn't me like coming out with a theory. This is something I read. It was so points of power, like your presidency point, like your title. It was, and not just the presidency, but we had great people that needed power because they were great. They just needed it because their decisions were better, and so on and so forth. So we created we created titles to go along with those great people to give them powers. But then as time went on, the great people started to fade out, but the title stayed. And so then the title itself became the greatness. So anytime we put someone in that title, like a new president, a new king, a new something like that, they're not a great person.
Yeah, their title.
But they become great through the title.
Yeah,
But originally when it started out, it was great people that needed a title.
I agree. I think what a lot of it is it goes back to like trust, right? I think when people started out before, you know, they made a king or whatever or president, it's like men and women, they always want to look up to somebody better than them, right? So that's why they want somebody to put their trust in, make important decisions, like you said, the great people.
The great people.
And they created kings. And you know what kings did? They looked up to even other people for that trust and what it's doing is right and everything, and that's how God was created. I think it all comes down to everybody wants to look up to something that they trust, knows
some kind of father figure or parental
in a sense
figure.
Yeah, in a sense of where they know what they're doing, you can trust in them and just follow while being yourself. You know what I'm
I get what you're coming from 100%, and like I do agree on a lot of points. 100%, but I don't know, man. I feel like we kind of developed to the point now where it's like people needed governing before, something to look up to before, because they're like uneducated. Like we have so much fucking education like available to us now.
Right,
like you
any
said,
question I have can just
like we're damn near androids in the sense of like on our person at all times, and if we lose it, we freak out. But most of the time, on our person, something that knows more than we do.
There is some kind of computing device on us at all times.
Yeah, and now that people, like the general public, has knowledge like this at their disposal, like you genuinely, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say you're going to be as smart as someone from the 50s or 60s, but you know more about everything.
It's available to you.
Even if you never went to a school in a day in your life, you know something about everything. And it comes to a point where like, there's those dumbasses that are always we're going to need it. But it's starting to get to a point like where 30 years from now do we need governing?
Well, that's why we have the electoral votes is what decides our presidential candidacy, because they said that they were afraid that maybe the majority vote, right, going just with the majority. A lot of people at that time were uneducated. They didn't know what they're hearing. They were just all out in the West and everything. So they said, let's have electoral colleges that know better. Now, most of the time, like all the times, they side with their state, because nowadays everybody's educated enough to know what they're doing. But back in the old days, it depended on that electoral college, because a lot of the people that were in that state maybe never even heard of how the government works. They're just living there.
Yeah.
So that's why they took that in consideration. And going back to the point that you was talking about of, do you think having like a king per se or president is kind of like outdated?
I do agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of my point.
Can't ride a bicycle. So.
It's not even about like that is very true. I'm not even gonna go into like any political thing really, but just as a whole, what I see, like I do think like the title of like a ruler. I know we have like branches to keep everything in check, but at the end of the day, I don't know, man.
You can just outsource everything so much.
Yeah, it's just kind of to the point now where it's like everywhere, like there needs to be a different system.
There's someone out there that can answer this question better than I can, so why should I be the one in power? We should outsource.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I feel like when a new president comes into power, it's like a regime change. Like they change the Speaker of the House, the press secretary, the vice president, district attorney. They can change who runs the FBI, who runs the CIA. And so they're all trying that the president puts in place, he or she, whenever that happens, that they all want to follow his laws, an agenda to a certain extent.
Yeah, they're all following one agenda at the end of the day.
Yeah, and for a president, I think that's. I mean, it might be good if that president's pure and knows what he's doing. He's not corrupt. But nowadays, it feels like all it is just different people with different agendas on what they need to happen for their economic growth and for what they got going on behind the scenes.
I feel like it's way too much now to say you're this side or you're this side. You know what I'm saying? Like, do away with this bullshit. You know what I mean? And let's all, figure out something different.
Yeah, it's kind of outdated.
It is very outdated. And but it's sad to say, and I'll be honest with you, I love my country, America and shit, but
America.
But I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah, no one I know fits into just a description, like a left or right. They all have very diverse and different perspectives on things. Like they might fall under a bracket, but one or two of their opinions will drastically differ from it.
Yeah, but you have to pick one or the other.
Because they're so educated today.
Because no other party's winning at the end of the day. Like there is no, it's either a Democrat's winning or a Republican's winning. And it shouldn't be like that. But I just feel like it's kind of sad though to say like, oh, we could all get band together and do it. But no, people used to have the power. But I think with all this division, really the main reason behind everything that's been going on, but I'm not even going to go into details, is everything that's in the past couple of years, at least in our country, I think it's made to create diversity between everybody and hatred between people. So then you get rid of the powers in the people. You know what I mean? You divide them up to where it's not anymore. They own it all.
No one thing can just call all the shots.
I mean, think about it. Is it harder to control cattle if there's 1,000 of them, or if there's 100 different pens with 10 of them each in it?
Exactly.
It's a lot easier to control
one
that,
herd.
because you come there and you control that narrative of that pen, right? If you just go from each pen support their narrative, you can control the mass.
But if there's 1,000, like you say, it's just,
you can't control just one narrative that they fall behind and they wholeheartedly get into.
And that's what this is about to me. Obviously, this is all just fucking talking, literally just talking to talk, bro. But this is my real thoughts. I do think about that. I'm they're just trying to divide the people so that we lose our power without even knowing
I think a lot of people think about it.
We turn on each other, man. When it should not be like that.
Yeah.
We're all living in the same country.
Exactly. We're all Americans. Taxes. That's why people don't talk about it enough. At the end of the day, we're all American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it. Yep. I get it.
Well, enough seriousness. So the finals are going on right now, guys.
They're over.
Wait.
Yeah.
When was Game 7?
Golden State won.
Yeah. What was it? Thursday? Last Thursday?
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was like it was a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm way behind. Dang.
It might have been Friday or Saturday.
The
actually,
Warriors
but
won?
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
The Warriors won it.
No.
Steph Curry got MVP.
I was pulling for the Celtics so bad.
Bro, they destroyed them the last game too.
Screwed
Really?
It's like a 20-something point game.
Yeah, and everybody was talking so much crap once the Celtics went 2-1.
Yeah.
See, that's where my hopes were at. Like, I
And
saw
they-
them get 2-1.
And they won 3 straight.
3 straight. Had to just go ahead and
Won
wrap
it in
up.
Boston.
Yeah.
The disrespect. And then they started all talking trash.
Yeah. Draymond stole one of the shirts.
Yeah.
So how many
it's
rings
about
does Curry have now?
4.
4 rings? That's the same as
LeBron.
right?
Curry's about to jump LeBron as far as legacy.
You chill the fuck out. This ain't even a sports cast, but
Is
it's
there
not
anybody
even
else that
starting
has 4 rings that are
man.
playing today, other than LeBron and Curry?
Clay.
Klay Thompson?
I mean,
Draymond.
other than accessories.
well, I mean, all the Warrior players, you know.
But no, I really don't think so. No.
All of them are dead or retired.
Man.
Shout out Kobe.
Do y'all think there's any young buck in the league coming
Luka.
up? You
Luka
think
the
Luka
Don.
will wind up with 4 rings?
I think it ended with more.
It's either Luka or Giannis.
I mean, Giannis is.
I feel like they're going to be battle each other for.
That's the
a
East and the
long time.
West. I
Yeah.
think. I think that's cemented almost in my head.
It's just a matter of what team they play for. If the Mavericks.
I hope they stay.
I do too. I mean, I
They
don't
both
ever,
stay.
I don't think Giannis is the type of guy. He'll never leave. He'll
I
never
mean, he
leave
looks
that
good
team.
with the Mavericks. I don't want him to
And then-
leave.
Luka, yeah, I'm saying Luka is the Mavericks right now.
Yeah, and you know Mark Cuban loves himself some European players. He'll stay there no matter what.
Yeah,
He'll fucking.
he'll be the highest paid player. I guarantee it.
Oh,
Soon.
he has to be.
When's his next contract?
Probably next year.
They better go ahead and try to sign somebody for a run because after that they're gonna be looking at a deep well. A deep well. It's gonna be 300, 400 million.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
It might break.
What do y'all think about that? Honestly, I don't say I hate it because they bring in the revenue. They sell the tickets. They get the streams. But athlete pay, bro. Pro athlete pay.
There's just so much consumption there. So
And like
that's what I'm saying. So much consumption. You can't hate it. They bring the
everyone
money.
in America knows what's going
Exactly.
on.
Oh, they're entertainers, you know. They're not. I mean, they're athletes, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can be an athlete who's watching. You're nothing. These guys are entertainers. These guys are world class
They're a level
entertainers.
above.
You know,
Yeah.
they've grinded their their art. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, some of them were more physically gifted,
of
but
course.
there's some that are just like Luka, big guy. I don't think he was extremely physically gifted.
or athletic.
I mean, you could call Stephen Curry not like because he's short.
He's
you know.
probably my height.
He had to work
maybe an
towards
inch
some
taller,
of this stuff.
2 inch taller.
Probably, yeah, inch and a half, 2 inches.
Inch than Logan,
He
2
had
inches
to
than me.
train. He had to, prepare for it. It's not just he woke up one day
Yeah.
like a baller.
Yeah, I mean, what do you? Well, that's what Shaq did.
Oh yeah,
This
Yeah,
is
he was
Shaq just
born
woke
that
up
way.
like, okay,
that man has
I
to
know.
fingertip everything he touches. He's so huge. It's crazy.
yeah. And I saw this one stat. If you are above 7 foot, there's a 25% chance you're in the NBA. So if you're already 7 foot, you got a 25%
I was
chance.
like 1 in 4, my man.
How bad
Yeah.
do you feel though if you're 7 foot tall and you're not in the NBA? You know?
I'm pretty pissed. 'Cause
Um,
at that point, your life just sucks. You're just 7 foot.
big, lanky
You
everywhere.
don't make millions of dollars, bro.
I like to
You could
play
be
like
an actor too or something.
an actor for what?
I don't know anything.
You're gonna play a
Jack
fucking
in the-
tree?
Jack in the Beanstalk or
You
something.
could be a great WWE wrestler if you're like a
I mean,
7
bro,
foot.
you
Nah,
gonna be able to
they
do the
would
moves,
break.
bro.
They would
400
break in
pounds.
half.
Because they actually do some crazy moves. Like, yeah, it's fake, but
Yeah, just have everybody else do them. You'd be the one to throw them or something. Let them do flips off your.
because they know they do it to you, you're just.
You
It's
cracking.
like, I'm not turning upside down. I'm 7 foot tall,
Hell
400
no.
pounds. I'll crack my neck.
And they're like a skinny 400 pounds. You know, that's not like KD. He's like what?
Katie is not 400 pounds.
No, but he's like 220.
No. I think he's honestly like 190.
Oh,
He's a skinny guy.
He's a skinny fucking 7 footer, bro.
oh, that's not too good for his fucking health.
Oh, it's
Like that
not.
on your like bone density or something.
Yeah, I mean he's all bones and tendons.
That's when you see LeBron and you're like, oh, he's 6'9".
He's 250,
It's-
230.
I'd say between 250, 260, low key.
Yeah.
Like, he's a big
Oh,
motherfucker.
he's
yeah.
built. Oh, yeah. Those shoulders on him.
Oh, bro. Like, this dude just walks around with big ass traps.
He's
like,
just a specimen of athlete. I mean, I've seen where LeBron James, like in his young days, Like he'll roll. Even Dwayne Wade was talking about this. Like he'll roll his ankle, where you think, oh, he's out, and then 5-10 minutes later, come back subbed in.
Like, he really is. That's why I love LeBron.
Different breed.
LeBron's just that guy.
All right. Well, this is a good segue for the next thing I've been thinking way too much about, and this is a totally uneducated.
Say Segway. Segway. I've always wanted one.
This is a totally uneducated idea that I'm talking about right here. Like I put zero research into it, but think about how
we use common sense to guide us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
We're wise guys.
One of us has to have some common sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking on something. Think about how much research has gone into genes and stuff about how you can alter, and none of it's illegal.
So
yet.
we could go get LeBron James genes.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I was saying, think about in the future when you can have your genes extracted from you, and then per se someone else can have genes implemented into them.
Yeah.
Think about how much that these athletes are going to charge. Like Usain Bolt, like how many people are going to pay to have the genes of the fastest man in the world inside their body?
Yeah, and not only that, they say IQ is mostly from genetics.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can be smart, but people with a high IQ is
So
that's
people
a
can
genetic
buy
trait.
their intelligence in the future, you think?
Well, I don't think at that point it'll just be AI. So we'll just download AI's intelligence and know everything.
I don't think it'll get to the point where you're like buying DNA.
I don't know if I see the whole public accepting being chipped in their heads, you know, because there are so many different people that have narratives going on in their heads.
I mean, they don't want the whole public. They want a
just want
select
the mass.
few. They want a select few, man. And then they just
at the beginning.
and then you know it'll slowly grow, but then it gets to the point where the people that just we don't want you to have our chip.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do, bro?
Yeah, I mean,
what are you gonna do?
You think when the chip comes out, cell phones will become obsolete?
It depends on how they really are to me.
it depends on how, like, if you have a chip in, like, what if, like, say, in my eye right now, I could be, let me say we're talking about something. Like you said, you haven't looked anything up. Say, like, you said something, and I'm looking up gene splicing in my right corner of my eye. I'm scrolling through all this information. But I'm still here. I can still see y'all.
Yeah,
I can still
that's
do
a
that.
different
That
level.
would be really cool.
That's automatic.
And then it's like, why would you even need gene splicing almost?
And
Than physical traits. Like, but once you're that
You
mentally
can just
capable,
download these traits into your...
yeah,
what the fuck do I give about dunking a basketball?
yeah. When I can,
Like I'm really just, like you said, just moving my eyes around,
You're just in the metaverse. at that
absorbing. Yeah, like what does it even matter at that point?
well, you know how you said, like, it'd be hard for, like, the mass, most of Americans, most people will say, okay, let me get a chip. Let me ask you this. There's maybe a couple, 200,000 people, right? They start with the chips off. And they see how smart they are. They might even be more athletic because they can feel every part of their body more to a certain degree. Do you think these people are going to be like, I want to stay natural?
A lot of people would.
Oh, yeah.
I want to stay...
People say, well, I don't want that. You know, this is how people are, bro.
That's not how our ancestors were.
Yeah.
Nah,
And that's true.
I think we're competitive. We want to
I mean,
be...
me personally, as soon as it came out, they were offering free chips.
Oh, you mean Test Monkey?
I'm
You
getting a
get-
chip, bro.
So many people would have that FOMO, you know, that fear of missing out when
Yeah.
they see their
I'm
neighbor
like,
has
no,
the
bro.
chip in.
I know
Their
this dude
neighbors
get
just
the
like
fucking
solving
chip.
equations in their head about house designs. You're over there. What's today's date? Like, come on now.
Yeah, bro.
You gotta
Like, I'm
pull
like,
out
oh, it's
your
this.
old
I'm literally seeing the
telephone.
calendar out of my right eye.
Yeah.
And shit. Bro, like, yeah.
You gotta actually look at a screen. Who
Everything
does
is
that?
kinda like, we'll
Who
be
looks
like-
at a screen?
Would y'all not be on that, bro?
Yeah,
I would have a hard
Day
time not
one.
being on that.
You know there might be side effects.
I mean, not day one. I would let the
Yeah.
guinea pigs,
Yeah.
like
Like
have
you.
a few months
I'd be a
walking
guinea.
around.
Yeah, like you.
I'd be a little guinea
If I
pig.
see anybody dropping dead or something, I'll wait till the next model.
Just
comes
start
out.
frying out. You're like, oh, actually.
Yeah, your circuit, your fucking short
What if like
circuiting.
lightning just starts striking all the people with chips in?
Well, I hope
Hey,
they put a
man.
little rubber in it.
I promise you, I won't be working
Put that-
outside if I got a chip in my
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll ever have
That's
to
what
go
you
outside.
think.
Shit.
Everybody has a chip, then you're no smarter than the public again.
I mean,
Then how do they decide who gets what job?
That's true.
there'll be different levels of chips. I guarantee
You
you.
think?
It'd be
Or
what
do you think
what
we
can
go
you
back-
afford.
Access?
Or do you think we go
What can
back
you
to like
afford?
royalty? Like only royals could lead. Only so they go like, okay,
feel
this
like
person
we're-
with a chip has the royal chip.
We're
You have the
definitely way
common
too
chip.
inclusive today to have royalty stuff come back in America. I feel like Or if it did try to come back, there would be a big push.
Not royalty, but I mean that's.
I'm using royalty as like an analogy.
You think more like celebrity?
No, I mean like
we worship celebrity
with like
That's
chips,
true.
right? So they have like he was talking about, it's a royal chip. Like only the people.
It's a different level.
Yeah, but everybody else has a commoner chip, where the capabilities are a little bit different.
Like like he's saying, like imagine, even though we don't have like a royal system in America,
We still have a class system.
you really don't think the president and these billionaires are gonna have a better chip than what we have?
that can access like,
Oh, yeah.
CIA
You know what I mean?
files or
Yeah.
something.
They won't be able to look up your. Do you think that'd be too much information for one person?
They can see
though?
out of your chip. Just
I mean, that'd be
crazy.
That'd be too much information. I mean, I think I would go crazy. I
There
think.
definitely has to be some kind of blocker on it, for
well,
sure.
have y'all ever watched Black Mirror on Netflix?
I have, but it
What are you
just
talking
makes
about?
your
The
head
time
spin,
the
dude.
two guys got into a Gavin simulation.
Okay, that's one
Oh, and
episode.
the one was a girl, and it was like
Yeah.
it's like symphonies.
I know that was his
Yeah.
favorite episode, but there's one episode
Hey.
that it literally reminds me of this topic. So basically, you were kind of able to do that. Like everything you see through your eyes, like you have a chip, and like you can stream it, and it's automatically saved, and you can stream it to anything, and like you can do it to other people's chips or whatever.
Is this the one where you could block people?
And you
To where
can
when
block
looked at
people,
them, it
and
was
if you
censored?
delete people, like you just will never see them. You know what I mean? Like you won't be able to see them and shit. And there was like a relationship, a guy and a girl, whatever. And like he thinks something's going on. I can't remember the exact details, but basically he ends up looking at her stuff, and like he can just see everything. At what point, like all
I
this
feel like
sounds,
that's too far.
Yeah, if you could literally view through someone else's eyes exactly what they saw. In certain situations, you'd be like, that'd be so cool. I could see,
It'd be too much
Tom
for
Brady
one person.
throwing the ball.
Because that's like the one personal thing we still have is our perspective.
Yeah.
And so if you can
Oh,
link
that's
your
great.
perspective to somebody
That's
else.
beautiful, actually.
Yeah, that was a great.
You take that
I'm a
perspective
poet.
away,
I'm a
bro.
poet.
Yeah, you're a
Everybody
poet.
will become the exact
You
same
didn't
if
know
you
it.
take
You're
the
just a
personal
camera
perspective.
at that point when someone can just take you.
You're just a vessel for
Yeah.
that chip.
And if you can block everybody, then are prisons needed anymore? Because you can just put them out in public, but if nobody can see who that person is, then what's it matter?
Well, I mean, it
They
might
can
fucking
still
kill
physically,
somebody.
they can still
Physically
physically
harm you.
All right, I got a little. I got a
see
little
it
ahead of
coming.
You got a little
myself.
proactive. You're a poet, and then you turned into fucking
Yeah.
Joe
Just because
Biden.
you can't see them doesn't mean they can't stab you.
Yeah. I'm bleeding.
I don't
Nobody's
know.
around.
The cop comes. Who did this?
I don't know.
Oh, well, they'll never catch serial
They're like, well,
killers.
let me see your eyes. I'll unblock everybody. That shit would just be so
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah.
That would be crazy though. If you commit a crime, but everything you see is kind of recorded, they could just in the courtroom
In
pull
that,
back
in
the
that
day
case,
before
you're
and
right. That'd
see
be a dope,
everything you did.
but just for regular day.
That's like privacy violations at that point.
And that's what I feel like it'll become. Like not necessarily to that extent, or that it's not gonna take that leap to like privacy, but I think it'll get to a point where like you're just so reliant on your chip. Like, how are you? You know what I mean? You're gonna
not
end up.
using your
You're
brain
virtually. Your brain is dead. You're just a computer. Like even though you're flesh, you're a fleshy computer.
I think we might lose consciousness in that.
Eventually,
I think.
chip powers on.
Yeah. It's like, oh, let me just go.
Well, what if we
into
figure
everything.
out? What if we figure out how to upload your consciousness to say like an AI system to preserve?
Would you do it if you died? If you were about to die?
Honestly, like I would definitely do like a trial phase first. Say if I knew I was getting old and I knew my time was soon, I was like, all right, well, put my consciousness over here. I want to see what it's like before I commit, and then send me back to my body, and then I can make a final decision. But it would also be really, really cool, if you were no longer limited by.
I don't know if I could do that just because like I do believe like there's like a after world, after death thing. But I think your consciousness plays a big part in it. I think people don't understand the brain, like we probably never will fully. I think your consciousness is such a big thing in that time of death or whatever. Like your consciousness is kind of
I'm not a scientist or anything.
spring something together that you're gonna love.
Well, when you're on your deathbed, DMT floods over your brain, and that's why. I mean, if you talk to people that's done TMD or TMT, too much talk.
Too much thought, Cass.
Yeah, we gotta slide that in there as an ad. They done DMT. It lasts for 15 minutes, but they say that it'll be like months. They feel like they've been into something, and that's only a limited amount of DMT. Now imagine DMT flooding over your whole brain.
Something's happened.
You could feel like it's a lifetime.
Is that
in
what's causing your life to flash before your eyes? The DMT?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
As
There's this one anime I watched where their idea on what your flash, like your life flashes before your eyes, is that you're trying to find a solution to get out of whatever situation you're in that's killing you.
Just like, let me find something.
Yeah, so it's taking all the information you've taken in throughout your entire lifespan and trying to find a solution.
It sounds like it'd be really hard to kill somebody in that anime. They just figure out the problem.
It
and
is.
They just fix themselves.
But that's what happens. That's really cool. But
what is it
I
called?
wish that's what actually happened. Oh, it was Demon Slayer. The hunter.
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I need to
little
catch up
kid.
on that.
I'm not a weeb.
Hey, man. Weeb right here.
Well, can I hit one of y'all's weebs vapes?
I don't vape.
You don't need that, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do.
Taking a little smoke break right here for Hunter. So, Dawson, how's your life been this week, man?
I mean, it's a Monday.
It is a Monday.
That is correct.
So
it's just starting out.
Fucking sucks.
Juneteenth, holiday. Still had to go to work.
Well, it's the 20th.
I think we should be off of June for Juneteenth.
It was a Sunday. So did you guys work yesterday anyway?
Oh, is Juneteenth just one day?
Juneteenth to the 19th of June.
Oh, now I feel like
Oh,
a
no,
dumbass.
you uneducated.
No,
Fuck.
Don't educate me, honestly.
I don't know exactly what the holiday's about, but I know it's on the 19th.
Damn, I thought it was just all of June. It was just June.
well,
Well, that's why it's called teenth at the end. It's like
feel like a
19th,
dumbo.
Juneteenth.
One of
I
my
don't see so much about it.
One of my lady friends, she works with like corporate wise of a company that's in Pennsylvania, and she got this Monday off for Juneteenth.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah,
Dang.
Must be nice.
yeah.
I definitely had to work today.
Same.
Well, we've kind of come to a dry spell on our
I
conversation.
think we've hit a lot of topics today, dude.
Dude,
No, I think we're still fine.
You think we're still fine? All right. Well,
Well, keep
Hunter,
us
what
going,
are you
bud.
thinking about? What do you want to talk about?
Keep us afloat.
Okay, so how do y'all think? Y'all know about Robert Nietzsche, right? The Nietzsche. He's a German philosopher, right?
Okay.
From the 1945, right?
So World War II era.
Yeah, basically. And
Was he a Nazi?
he was not. He was a nihilist. Well, they say he's a nihilist, but he's not.
I'm not a Nazi. I'm a nihilist.
Whatever
Well,
that
there's
means.
a big difference between persecution of Jews and just saying everybody's all fucked in their own head, basically.
Yeah, that's true. You're not castrating an entire culture.
Yeah, genocide.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the exact word for it. So
Y'all
he was a
so
nihilist from the 1940s, a German scientist.
Not a scientist, a philosopher.
Oh, even better, philosopher.
So, and right now, everybody knows Socrates, Plato, Demarcus or Damascus. I can't pronounce his name right. They're like the big three. And like in today's time, with I guess people that a lot of people are starting to float towards like his philosophy and his teachings, because even in close to 80 years ago, it's just the way that the world is set up now. It's like I feel like a lot of people are for themselves, with like self-care, self-help, and that's not a bad thing. He actually talks about how it's not a bad thing, and so right now he's gaining more traction. He's becoming more popular than he was when he was alive, and
That's how it usually goes.
I kind of agree with that though, because if you yourself are not in a good place, then how well could you provide for others? So you have to make sure that you're in a good place for others.
Yeah.
So there has to be some self-help and self-growth going on.
yeah, and it's actually in part two is like the people that you get a certain dopamine or serotonin release from that, from anything. And so when people are, so dopamine filled from own self-improvement, self-help, that's kind of, I think, used to be looked down upon. Hey, we got to do this for other people.
Yeah.
But each of y'all are getting satisfaction from doing your own, your own thing, whether it's self or helping others. And I feel like in today's world, what we've gotten to is more self-indulgent and just obsessed with ourselves.
We're not as society-based, like tribe-based anymore.
Yeah, because humans were built to living like the way that they process stuff were built to run in 100 people tribes. You know, where a little bit of everybody. Everybody has this job. Everybody's float. So what happens when you throw them into, say, New York City, where there's 3 million people right on top of each other?
Yeah, it's everybody, a way to learn all those people.
Yeah, and so we go more towards just focusing on oneself than all the crazy masses going out there.
I feel that kind of relates even to like families today. You know what I mean? Obviously, everyone loves their family. Well, you know, most situations. But like, you don't always feel that need of like, oh, every Sunday I'm gonna go eat with my family, and you know, we're gonna meet up on this day. We're gonna do this, and we're all close.
That's a good point. I feel like America isn't as, I don't know a good word for it, ritualistic today as they were in maybe like the past years.
Yeah.
Like, we don't always sit down for dinner with the family around the table. We don't have like weekend get outs that are like set to the exact same thing as much as they were before. Like, everybody's kind of more free ball in their schedule, you know?
Yeah, and I also think, you know, back in the older days, they'd be like, blood stick in the water, family's family. They mess up, that's fine. It don't matter what the trouble they put me through, family's family. Nowadays, it's like, it goes back to that self-importance,
Just like set your boundaries with your family.
Yeah, you even set your boundaries with your family. Like, oh, that's too much, you know? Can't do all that, you know?
Yeah.
Because y'all will mess up my mental status.
Yeah, that's like unheard of in earlier days.
Yeah, that was like, oh,
cultures.
that's my family. My dad beats me every day, but that's my father.
That's my daddy right there.
And I would die for my daddy. Now it's more, you know, my dad's an asshole. I think I'm never going to talk to him again.
I'm going to develop myself so that I don't wind up like him.
Yeah, that's how people view it too.
That's how people are thinking today.
Well, shoot, that's probably a good thing. So,
yeah, I mean, that is a very
self-indulgence is a good thing to a certain extent.
But I think that there's also like an ego that comes with self-development too. It's like, if you're making progress with yourself, then that's something that you know. It's like, okay, I'm better than I was last week. And that's going to affect your perspective of self. Like, some people might get inflated heads because maybe they made some progress on things and they don't see the world how everyone else sees it too. So it's not all positive.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think too much of anything's too much is about
too much thought.
Too much thought.
It's a little negative.
I think like everything we say, everything we talk about, it's really, in the end of the day, too much thought.
That's all we're doing.
Just thinking too much. And next episode, you know what we're gonna be doing?
Too much thinking.
Exactly.
I don't know. I was thinking about like, never mind. I was gonna be naked.
You said what?
Hey, whoa.
You're gonna be naked.
It's a family
I didn't
cast,
say that.
man.
Yeah, hey, this is
an E-rated podcast.
It's PG-13.
Yeah, fair enough.
R in some sense.
Dawson said so many bad words today.
Hey, I'll drop a F-bomb in a heartbeat,
Hey,
man.
I'm playing.
That means he's emotionally driven. Real driven. And so next time we're both on a podcast, we're all just going to drop as many cuss words as possible.
Yeah.
So they know whether we're real and we're serious
episode 3 is
about
going to
episode
be
3.
X-rated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So y'all get ready.
Okay.
It's going to be a little
Tune
bit
in
of
Is that
next
what we're
week.
doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, then.
Episode 3 is hardballing, all right?
All right.
I'll see y'all boys soon.
We'll see y'all
All right.
then.
Take it easy.